All right, here's the deal. I am in Arizona. This is one of my most favorite places on this planet. I have a home down here. I routinely come down here for the winter because living in Canada just sucks. But today we're here for a totally different reason, actually, for this whole next week. And I'm really excited about it. And I just want to share like a little behind the scenes. I did this a few weeks ago when I was in Australia for one of my Mastermind meetups with the mentor that I work with, Taki Moore, in his boardroom program for 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs. But this week, I'm actually hosting my own Mastermind meetup for my own clients. And I just wanted to share a little behind the scenes because I think, this is more for me than it is for you, to be completely transparent, just to document like what I'm thinking about this, how I'm preparing, what's going through my mind, some of the things that I'm working on to get ready for this week. But also I think it's kind of interesting as a viewer too. You don't really think about these things when you're attending them or just when you're working with somebody. And I just want to be transparent through this whole process and show that I'm just another human being, just like you guys, doing some cool shit. And I want to bring you along. So let's go. All right. So let's talk about what's going on. I run a program called the CEO Clubhouse. It is for small service-based business owners who are stuck between the $8,000 to $10,000 a month range. They're working way too much in their business. They just want some time back for themselves and ultimately just didn't want to buy themselves a job, right? I love working with this group of people because they are just human beings like the rest of us who just want to leave an impact or, leave some meaning behind in the world behind them. That, yeah, they're super great technicians at what they do, but at the end of the day, we all just want to make sure that we're making a difference in this world. And honestly, super fun group of people to work with. I myself have been a small service-based business owner for the last almost 18 years. I built my first business to $700,000 a year. It was a gym in a super small town. Absolutely loved doing what I was doing. But ultimately, I built that business to, quite frankly, get me where I'm actually sitting today. And that's in Arizona because I knew that I didn't want to, spend my winters up there where it is super freaking cold, depressing as hell in the gray sky for 8 months of the year. And it's just so freaking cold. And here's kind of the thing. And this is how I like to think about it. When I was younger and I started this business, that first business, I always knew that this was something I wanted, but I really didn't believe that it was possible. Like, I just felt like that's what rich people do, and I'll never be one of those people. I'm not deserving of that type of wealth or that type of money or whatever it might be. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, honestly, yes, you need money in order to do these things, but it all starts with your business and how you set that up. And so, when I built that gym to be successful in order to be a vehicle to help me do the things I wanted to do, like buy property in Arizona, like spend my winters in the warmth, that was kind of like the changing thing. Oh, dude, that sounds so ChatGPT. I hate AI for that reason. But that honestly was what it was, is I had to learn to use my business as a vehicle to help me get the things that I wanted and do the things that I wanted to do and live where I wanted to do and just ultimately be a vehicle. Okay. So what's happening now is we're in Arizona. I'm running a in-person mastermind this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Here's kind of the cool story is 4 years ago when I started Perfect Day Business Mentorship, my mentor at the time, he had built a massive business and once a year did a in-person thing. And it was like a really big thing. And he asked me if I was ever going to do an in-person event. And I told him so quick, so straightforward, absolutely not. I have no interest in doing that. I'm not a detail-oriented person. The thought of planning out something like that is absolutely sickening to me. Like, that's just not my zone of genius. And quite frankly, that shit is boring. Like, that shit is so boring. Sitting in a hotel convention room, white rooms, no windows, circular tables with strangers that, don't really care to talk to you. And then you have somebody standing up there talking at you for like 8 hours and flipping through a PowerPoint. How fucking, pardon my French, but how fucking boring is that? That's so boring. And I was so quick to say no because that had been my traditional experience of those types of events, not just at his, but at other ones, was that like stale white room, somebody talking at you for 8 hours of the day. And like, let's be honest, like how much information do you actually take away from that? Like, and then actually implement, and it's super minimal, right? And So when I started building the CEO Clubhouse, we implemented semi-annual virtual intensives, meaning twice a year, we met together for 2 days, but we met together online. And that was super fun. And we spent 2 days learning, 2 half days, right? Because nobody needs a full day to just have a bunch of information blasted at them. So we spent 2 half days together. Arguably some of the most valuable stuff that we delivered all year long. The best time spent with others, choreographing it in ways where they could brainstorm with each other, could problem solve with each other, and just get experience and input from others who were doing similar things that they were doing. It was awesome. Loved it. And always got, such great feedback from the clients. And that's kind of like my zone of genius, is being up in a group like that and being able to, this is going to sound stupid, but perform in a type of way. Like, it's just being in front of a group and just being who I am and having the energy levels that I do. Like, I fucking love that so much. And so 2 things happen. The first thing is like, everybody sees AI coming in more and more and more. And what I think is actually going to happen in the coming months, if not years, is that people are going to crave the in-person stuff way more. I know personally I do. Like, everybody's training themselves to be an AI version of themselves, and that's what they're selling. And you know what? Good for them. I'm so happy you're adapting and you're finding ways to bring AI into your business. But quite frankly, me as a consumer, that's not how I want to interact with you. Like, I'm buying into your brand because of you and don't necessarily want to interact with a robot version of yourself. That's just me. And that's just where I am right now. And that's where my mindset is right now. But what I truly think is people are craving the in-person experience more and more and more. And so knowing what my own experience has been in October at our last virtual intensive, I threw it out to the clients and I said, hey, what would you guys think about getting together in person, maybe somewhere warm for our April one? And here's, like, when I say I'm going to be transparent for a minute, this is what I mean. When I originally threw that idea up, I really thought that they weren't going to react in any particular type of way. Like, and I'm going to tell you why right away. So just bear with me. So I didn't think that they were going to react in any type of way, but they went freaking wild, which I thought was just the sickest thing ever. It was super fun. Now, here's why I didn't think they were going to act any particular way. And that was because I had immense imposter syndrome about it. Now, it doesn't matter what level you grow your business to, there will always be different versions of imposter syndrome that are going to present themselves. And for me, it was thinking that there's absolutely no way that people are going to fly around the world to come hang out with me. Like, who the hell am I? Right? Yeah, we have 65 clients inside the CEO Clubhouse. This business has been operating for a couple years now. It's a 7-figure company. Like, we're doing good things. We get our clients great results and stuff, but like, who is actually going to fly across the world to hang out with me? Well, I was quite surprised. Everybody was super excited about it and was ready to jump on that. And so I was just elated that my clients wanted to come hang out, thought that the stuff we were talking about was valuable enough for them to fly across the world, or literally across the world, to leave their families at home, to come spend time with each other, with me, and felt that it was worthy and valuable enough of their time and their money. And that is the coolest. I mean, that from an imposter syndrome aspect, that is just the coolest thing. So when they reacted like that, almost immediately we went into planning mode. And to be quite frank, when that fell off my tongue during that October intensive, I had zero plans of actually running this thing. Like, I was literally just gauging interest. And so the interest caught me by so much surprise that it had to be implemented like ASAP. So fast forward a little bit, one of our clients inside the CEO Clubhouse, her name is Tiffany. She runs an event planning business, and logic say that makes the most sense. So Tiffany jumped on board and she started taking this by the reins and she organized this. And here we are. Like, it's happening today. Wednesday, we have a half day VIP day for all the people who registered early. And then Thursday, Friday, we do full day sessions with everybody. And I'm just like, there is not one bit of me that's like nervous or that imposter syndrome exists anymore. Like, none of that. I am so locked in. The way that Tiffany has planned this event and the things that we are doing is just like I'm actually like a lion in a cage, just frothing at the mouth to like get this thing off the ground and running, because I am so excited. So let me give you a walk down of like what the days are going to look like. All right, so let's talk about like what the event schedule is supposed to look like, because I think that's kind of the highlight. All right, so when it starts off Wednesday, And we're doing a VIP day for some of the people who pre-registered, which again, super elated that people were so interested that they jumped on board almost immediately when I posted a sign up link. Like, that is a humbling experience. I just got to be super clear about that. Absolutely humbling. So I rented out a taco shop patio. We're going to sit, we're going to have tacos. I'm going to go through what I call state of Taryn, which just shows them, you know, some of the things that I have had to unlearn in the last 12 months. I'm going to go through, you know, what are some of the big shifts that I have had to make inside of my coaching business, what the plan is for PDBM for the next 12 months. And then also just where I think the industry is going as a whole, just as a small service-based business owner, some of the trends and things that I think are going to happen to the industry that I think are interesting and that we are going to almost like plan for, right? After that, open hour and a half of just Ask Taryn. They get to use my brain. They get to tap into any sort of like one-on-one business questions that they have that are super, you know, individualized to their business, and have time with me and the group to solve those problems that we might not get the time and attention for, you know, on a normal day. And so I'm super excited just to share my perspective, share my experience in a more like super intimate environment, like a taco patio on a beautiful Arizona afternoon. That sounds like nearly a dream. Then Thursday, the sessions begin with everybody. So we did keep it super small and intimate. I really didn't want a massive event with a bunch of people. I wanted a really small curated room so that the relationship aspect of doing this would be built so much stronger. So on Thursday, we're starting off with a coffee walk. We're going to walk, I think it's almost 2 miles to the coffee shop, grab a coffee, walk back. This is arguably some of the best time to just start new relationships, to get like outside perspective on your business and maybe some of the things that you're thinking about, and just have like a laid back conversation with somebody that you're walking next to, going for a coffee, right? We'll get back to the house. So we rented out this like massive Airbnb bougie mansion. It is huge. And we're going to be running the sessions both indoors and outdoors. And so I'm going to go through State of the Union, which is, this is, you know, the more elaborative, what is happening in the industry. So, you know, where we were, what were some of the things that we're doing? Where are we right now? What are we implementing and testing right now? And then what are we thinking about as we move forward? And some of the things that we think about the industry that we should all be testing, that the direction of the industry is going. From there, I'm going to teach them a concept of just building their original thoughts and ideas. So it's one of one, the model of one, meaning if you just basically sell your service based on your time for money, and it's all about just being the cheapest in your industry, and the marketing that you're spitting out just sounds like everybody else's that does what you do, then really you're just a commodity and your only competition is price. And you will always be significantly underpriced because now you're just competing on price with your neighbor, right? So we're going to go through how to be a model of one, how to be one of one, how to bring original thoughts and ideas behind what you do so that you can start to build this audience behind you who like the way you think. They like the way you challenge their beliefs, and they like the way that you do things that are different than everyone else. And we just got to we got to tap into what you do and your language associated with that so that we can figure out what makes you one of one. And I think especially as AI becomes more and more important these days, this is such an important concept because right now the landscape just sounds vanilla. You guys are all gray. You all blend in with each other. And so the businesses that are winning are the ones who can differentiate themselves, who are a model of one. And so once we figure out what makes them different, we're then going to take that and I'm going to teach them this concept I call offer wrapping. And this is the exact strategy that I have implemented inside of my business multiple times. I just did it a few weeks ago when my flight got canceled coming back from Australia, and I made $47,000 in one day. I made $39,000 doing this exact same process a couple of weeks before coming back from Chicago. So I want to teach them how you can't just always sell the exact same thing to your mass audience because you have different levels of buyers that exist in your audience at different times. Okay, there's this thing called a byline, and that's on that byline. They're at different readiness levels based on their exposure to you, based on their own belief about when they're ready, and so on and so forth. I'm actually going to do a whole video just on this concept. So you can keep toss a sub so that you get notification when that video comes out. Because if you can learn that concept, it is a concept that will make you millions of dollars over the coming years, because you can always refresh what you're giving to your audience in different ways, different languages, different words. And it's not having you to create anything new. You're just taking bits and pieces of your offer and offering it to different levels of buyers that exist in your audience. Super powerful lesson. Obviously, you can tell that I am super excited to give this one because it's been transformative to me over the years. Obviously, it's like cash on demand. So this is going to be such a great session. We'll finish Thursday with what we call our mastermind sessions. This is where I'll guide them through the beginning part of it, but then they break off into little smaller groups. They pose their question to the group, and then they use the group to problem solve and get their next action steps walking away from that. So it's one thing for me to stand at the front of the room and teach them all the things or be the one that they always come to for advice, but sometimes outside perspective of people who are, whether they're in your industry or they're running a parallel industry or whatever it might be, but they might see things about your business that you don't see, and they might have an interesting perspective that I might not be able to give either. And so that's super valuable too. We'll finish off at, we have a super classy dinner Thursday night just to celebrate each other's friendships and the good work that we've put in already in just a day and a half. And that brings us into Friday. We start with another coffee walk because, again, this is like, honestly, the coffee walk is probably the most valuable part out of the whole entire week, which sounds crazy, but in my own experience, that's how it's been. And then Friday is a super fun day. So Friday, I have a guest speaker coming in, and her name is Bonnie Skinner, truly a best friend of mine. She is a psychotherapist, but she specifically works with CEOs and leaders just to help them basically build confidence, get more clear on their own needs, their family needs, their work needs, their team needs, all of that stuff, and just how to communicate better and have more competence behind what it is that they do. Bonnie's been my back pocket weapon for the last 6 years. She has been transformative for me in just how I've come along in my maturity as an entrepreneur. And so having access to Bonnie for my audience is just super key. She's going to be running 2 sessions with our clients. One, she's going to teach them just about like some imposter syndrome and just how to get over that. And she's got such a good series locked in about the valleys and the peaks of being an entrepreneur. And she's got this key lecture just about the valleys and the peaks of being an entrepreneur. And I'm super excited for that. And then she's going to lead some hot seats. So giving people an opportunity just to air some of the problems that they're experiencing, whether they're working as a solopreneur or with their team or their family or whatever it might be, relative to having to be in a position of leadership. And she's going to help work through that with them in front of everybody. And yeah, Bonnie is just such a weapon, and I'm super grateful for her spending some time with us. And that brings us to the end of Friday, which is probably one of the most important sessions we're going to do throughout the entire week. And that is our 6-week game plan. Now, this session is to really focus in on all the things that you have got throughout the week, all the great ideas, all the things that are necessary to be doing in your business and implementing, and then narrow it down into like, what is the one thing that we need to be doing, and breaking that apart into bite-sized steps. And so we do this in our program every 6 weeks as it is, but now that we're in person, we're going to have a new spin to it. I'm going to lead them through this and help them walk away from this week of, some intense learning with nothing but clarity on the very one next thing that they need to be implementing in their business. So that'll wrap everything up in terms of our learning sessions. And then the best part of the whole week is I rented out a boat on Canyon Lake. So it's a lake in the middle of a mountain range called the Superstition Mountains. It's one of my favorite places in Arizona, like truly favorite. So we rented a boat. We have a private dinner for everybody on this boat as we tour around the canyon during twilight. So we're thinking purple mountains, orange sky, the classic look of Arizona. I'm really excited. It's going to be beautiful. And we'll do our client awards there and just have a great send off to the week. So as I stand here and I tell you about this, and I've walked through the whole week in my mind dozens and dozens and dozens of times, I've prepped all the material for everybody. We've curated this awesome experience, but most importantly, the way we have choreographed it to intentively build relationships with other business owners. Because man, like, let's face it, entrepreneurship is so fucking lonely. Like it is. It doesn't matter how you frame it. It is so lonely. Your spouse doesn't get it. Your friends don't get it. The neighbor business to you doesn't get it. You need to be around people who freaking just get it and can be your earpiece when you need somebody to go to just talk about, some of the stuff that you're working through. So yeah, I wanted to be transparent. Before this started, I was having super imposter syndrome that I just didn't think that people would fly from around the world to come hang out with me. I didn't think that it was something that people wanted to do. And to my surprise and delight, hey, it actually is. And people actually will. I've got a guy coming all the way from Spain, which I think is unreal. I've got lots of Canadians flying in, people from all over the States flying in. And then we even had some guests, join us, paid to come along, which that again too, unreal. Like people who don't even work with me want to come and hang out. And I just think that is so sick. The best part is that we had one of our guests pay for a ticket to join us. And then a few weeks later, come to the conclusion that she didn't want to wait and she just wanted to become a client of the CEO Clubhouse faster. And so best case scenario, that was just a super humbling moment for me too, that, somebody can put one foot in the world and just decide right away that they know that this is the place where they should be. So I'm really looking forward to this. I just wanted to document this, probably more for myself than more for you, and I'll come back after the event too and just give a wrap up on, my thoughts and my thinking and the experience and what I saw, come away from that week too. Cause I think that that's important. I had this mindset going into it and this is how it actually played out. Maybe that would be interesting for you that you'll want to join us next year. Who knows? Not my intention. It's just a documentation. So, yeah, perfect day in the desert kicks off this week. I got to go because I am getting a sunburn on my back just talking to you. Cheers.